Okay, so have you ever had a pair of socks or a sock or something go completely missing inside of your own house? And you wonder where it's at, you look everywhere, can't find it, so eventually you just say, well, I guess the dryer ate it, or something like that. You probably experienced that, right? But today in this video, I want to posit an answer to where those socks go, and an overall theory that explains everything about the backrooms. Of course it relates to the backroom. Today I'm going to be talking about the sock theory. I'm going to be explaining it, how I created it, and how it ties into all the lore that I talk about here. And to back up my theory, I'm also going to be discussing level 108 of the backrooms because I think it actually proves that I'm right, or at least like 20% right, which is still right, by the way. If that sounds cool, then I hope you enjoy the video. Please stick around to the end to hear the full theory and how it all goes together. I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you do, leave a like. I greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, any more explanation, let's get into the sock theory. Let's talk about how it relates to the backrooms, and let's show the evidence that level 108 provides for it. Shall we? The sock theory is simple, and it goes like this. Matter cannot be created or destroyed, therefore missing socks have to be somewhere, and that somewhere is a little alternate dimension that we like to call the backrooms. Let me explain. The backrooms, of course, is somehow loosely connected to our reality. I actually have a video coming out next week discussing the processes of no-clipping, null zones, quantum tunneling, and things like that, so this is kind of a prelude to that video. But how do socks and the sock theory relate to all this? Every once in a while in your personal life, I'm sure that you've had something disappear. You've looked everywhere for it, you know you put it somewhere and it's not there, and you just never see it again, and eventually it fades from your brain that you ever lost it. This could be a wallet, a phone, keys, a credit card, or in this case, socks. Well, the odds of no clipping or phasing or tunneling into the backrooms are so slim that it's nearly impossible for an entire person to do so. But how does that relate to inanimate objects? Socks typically come in pairs. You usually have 2 feet, therefore increasing the chances that socks would be the things that get sent to the backrooms the most. After all, since it's so rare for one whole person to go, it would make logical sense that if there was more than one thing, like socks, which always come in a pair, there's 2 of them, it would make sense that they're more likely to fall into the backrooms or into this alternate reality just based on mathematics. They simply have more chances of doing that, and that's exactly what the sock theory is. But the socks that fall into the backrooms and whatever else you have, like I said, a set of keys or a card or anything that you've ever lost or anything that's disappeared, those obviously don't go to level 0 because that's typically where people get quantum tunneled to. So where do those things go? In comes level 108 of the backrooms, which is where I want to tie it in and show you how this kind of shows proof that things from real life, inanimate objects that are not alive, that's what inanimate means, they come to this level once they quantum tunnel or phase into the backrooms. So again, the sock theory states that since matter can't be created or destroyed, the missing objects you can't find have to go somewhere, and a logical explanation is that there's an alternate reality, like the backrooms. And the reason they're more likely to go there is simply because there are far more socks than there are people or other objects in the world. Each person might have 10, 15, 20 pair of socks on a good day. So it makes mathematical sense that you might have one fall into the backrooms. So now I want to talk about level 108 and how that all ties into the sock theory, and I'm going to do the explanation of that right now. Level 108 is actually not on the wiki.dot anymore, but thankfully there is an archive version that still exists that I can use to kind of prop up this theory. You're welcome, everybody. I'm just doing my job. Level 108 consists of a series of gigantic hollowed out cylinders, or spires, that span forever. Each of these giant cylindrical buildings is connected by a series of very confusing concrete hallways and rooms, and each level of the buildings that look out to different spires have exactly 44 windows in each row. The insides of the buildings are very claustrophobic, very confusing, and they're constructed out of the same concrete that the giant spires are. And there is a multitude of layouts and odd design choices that really just give a backrooms feel to this level. The halls themselves are very confusing to try to walk through. They're interconnected, they're blocked off, some dead end, and it's mostly dark. But the one thing they all share is that eventually some hallways will lead lead to the windows, one of the 44, that look out to these gigantic endless pits that are the spires. If you look down, you'll just see those huge vats. But if you look out and up, you'll see some sort of sky or skybox or something resembling a sky above you. It is said that the interior of each of these spires are arranged in a hashtag pattern with curved corridors and hallways that follow that spire path around the windows. So pretty much all of them are curvy and windy and are cylindrically shaped in a certain way. Most of the halls inside of the buildings are extremely dark, and without the use of lights, you can't really see because usually the only light that you'll have comes in from the windows, but it doesn't really reach to the hallways. And here's where the sock theory comes in. Scattered around the corridors inside of level 108's hallways are randomly placed objects that block off entire pathways and entire corridors. These objects are random, and they're typically completely immovable no matter how hard you try. You can't make them budge at all, and that's not only the annoying part. These objects are just every regular day things, like beds or cars, sheds or trucks or kitchen cabinets and sinks, and in this case, also clothing items like socks. Entire gigantic mounds of socks exists, clogging up these hallways. The same can be said for beds and everything else that I just said. These items are wedged so tightly in the hallways that you cannot move them or get around them or surpass them in any way. They're just blocking it off. And this, of course, makes traversing around the level pretty much impossible. So right there it is. This level is home to random mismatched socks and items from real life. And they're put in a place to where you can't even move them, which means they weren't put there, they were glitched or tunneled there, and since they're inanimate objects, they just kept falling in that same place and building up on top of each other to create these gigantic coagulations that block off halls. The leading theory is that eventually level 108's hallways will be completely filled up, even though the level has an infinite number of hallways. There's 8 billion people on the world, and if things continue to no-clip from the world to this level, then they'll eventually clog the entire hallways, making most of the level completely impassable. It's already hard enough as it is, it's just gonna get worse though. So essentially when humans get no-clipped or glitched or phased or whatever you want to call it, like I said, I'm making a video explaining that next week, when they get phased to the backrooms, it's typically in level 0. That's the starting point for the human electrons and particles. But objects that are not alive, they get sent to level 108, it seems, and they clog up this level and they start here. It's just that they can't move. So really, I guess it's less of a theory and more of an observation, but I think that's what happens to inanimate objects if the creepypasta was real. Obviously, I know it's not. I'm just theorizing because if we're picking at that kind of string, then nothing even matters. The atmosphere inside these hallways causes many people to feel very uneasy and disoriented, considering it's so dark and there's just weird stuff all over the place. It often creates a sense of paranoia that something is hiding in all these objects and watching people. This will lead to that feeling of being watched, and that can lead to paranoia and insanity. And what doesn't make it any better is that the only windows in the level look out to a bottomless pit that you could fall into if you open up the window. So don't do that. Don't make that mistake. The pits are thought to be completely endless and bottomless because, as far as we know, the staircases and levels and floors go down forever, meaning that we can reasonably assume that the pit does as well. Which means if you do end up falling in the pit or the abyss below, you'll simply just fall until you starve to death. Nice! The different floors of the spires are connected by dark, dingy concrete staircases that echo with any slight movement you make. And much like the pit outside and that endless bottomless death trap, these staircases expand downwards for eternity, which means don't fall through them as well. You can fall through the holes in the middle. It is not recommended to stay in level 108 for any length of time due to the paranoia and the risk of falling into the spire or getting trapped in the labyrinth of hallways by randomly appearing objects from real life. It will kind of suck if you're walking in a hallway and then a car randomly appears behind you and you can't get out. To enter this level, you can use one of two ways that we know of. Over on level 6, you can locate a hallway that seamlessly transitions into a hallway from this level, which is how convenient. And you can walk directly to it from there, or you can find a specific elevator over on level 65, hop in it, press a button that looks like a hashtag, and you'll get sent here as well. 2 exits, luckily enough, there are several of them. You can find another elevator to get back into, and you'll get sent back to level 65, or you can get inside or on top of a randomly appearing object, like a bed or a car or a train or socks or clothing or whatever inanimate object it is, and just by getting on top of that, you have a chance of being glitched out to another level. There are no documented entity encounters listed, but that could just be because of the lack of information. I'm not really sure. But since it's really dark here, I'm assuming you might see a smiler or two or 20 since it's dark. But this level is extremely unique in my opinion, and I really enjoy the simplicity that makes it terrifying, but also not, right? It's not really horrifying, but being alone in a place where things are glitching directly to it from an unknown location, I think it's real life, that's kind of terrifying because you don't know why it's happening or what's causing it, but you see these last vestiges from your own existence, but you can't go where they're coming from. You're kind of just forced to watch it happen. But anyways, I think it's pretty neat to have a level tied directly to real life, but only for inanimate objects. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. I've never done a video like this exactly, so it's kind of like a mishmash of a theory video mixed with a level video. Whatever the case is, I hope you did enjoy it. Again, I know it's just theorized. I know it's a creepypasta. Just having fun here, you know? We're just vibing. So if you like vibing, leave a like. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything you do. If you want more videos from me, go ahead and check out Spoogly, which is my other channel where I upload documentaries and deep dives and stuff. I think you'll really enjoy that kind of stuff over there. Next week, I have a really fun video coming out talking about no clipping and the science behind it, because apparently nobody knows how it works. So stick around for that as well. If you want to help the channel out, press the like button. It's free. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. And with all that said, I'll see you whenever I see you next.